stream, and we are good to go over here.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Aaron, could you take roll, please?
Yes. Marcia Carrington. Here. Sean Daly. Robin Lloyd. Chris Parthmore.
Here.
Adam Ramsdell.
Here.
Brian Stanley. Cable Steineman.
Here.
Martha Whipple.
Here.
Annetta Vladeka. Michelle Newell. Jeff Crable. Aaron Blair. I'm here. Okay.
All right, looks like we have minutes from September 17th to approve. Are there any corrections to those minutes?
Do you have one printout if anybody needs it?
I would love it if you have it.
I have it in my phone.
They are from the September meeting.
Actually, it's okay. I can look at it on my phone.
Okay, without hearing that, we will, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Hi.
Opposed? Abstentions? Minutes pass unanimously. New business, selection of City Hall Art Gallery 2025 installation?
Yes, I called it 24 because we typically had said 24/25, or, because I usually get it hung up by the end of the year.
Oh, do you?
This-
Okay.
Yeah, this year.
Next year's art installation.
Yeah, this year got pushed back a little bit because we had, I had to cancel one meeting as I was sick, and then last meeting we didn't get quorum. So let me, I gotta switch the camera here. So the YouTube stream will work. And then I printed this out. It's formatted in portrait because I had it ready for everybody last month. This is the results of the scoring of the submissions that we received for the City Hall Gallery. Up here. The, everything highlighted in green scored at least 5 points, and I'll walk through each of those just to give everybody a memory of what was seen and to publicly show the art pieces that we received. The top one is Pamela Jean Hatfield, the Rock Stack. It's photography on canvas. That received an average score of 7.78. Donna Coleman, Do Si Do. It's a oil painting, 36 by 48 inches on canvas. And a reminder, our theme was connections. Susan Prentice, Self-Reflection, which is a photography at 7.44. Susan Prentice, Total Eclipse Photography, average score 7 points. Susan Prentice, Butterfly in Flower Photography, average score 6.89. Justin Nutke, Pass By. It's a screen print illustration, average score 6 points. Justin Notke, Firelands Communities, which is a screen print illustration, 18 by 24, average score 5.89. Susan Prentice, acrylic painting, Into the Forest I Go, 5.78. Miles Schneider, Modern Gravity, acrylic drawing, 48 inches by 64 inches, that's average score 5.78. Lori G, Common Blue acrylic painting, average score 5.33. And Justin Notke, Ride in Ohio Screen print illustration, 18 inches by 24 inches, average score 5.33. Kylie Frederick, In Dreams, acrylic painting, average score 5.22. Susan Prentice, Spring Meadow, acrylic painting, average score 5.11. And Saya Cornegay, Beautiful Disaster mixed photography, average score 5 points. I also put just the thumbnail images of each of the other submissions that we received. And I will note that the bottom right, we did have to disqualify just for the use of a recognizable character style, and the style of Peanuts. The law department had a concern about that being in such a recognizable character style that there could be potential copyright issues, so that one did get disqualified. It did score highly, but it did get disqualified. So to put us back up to the top, typically we accept anywhere between 10 and 15 pieces. This is
14?
14. There's plenty of room. We've never maxed out the gallery. I've never had any issue of crowding. There's a long hallway behind this chamber that has never been used to its full extent, and it does have the installation hanging equipment. So I was suggesting that we draw a line. I was looking at this, the final piece that kind of made the cut, and my recommendation was 45, so it was a full 3 points higher than the one below it, and it also was an even score of 5, so I thought that was a tidy place to recommend the accepting of those submissions for the gallery.
Any discussion?
I'm not so sure that I think Justin Notkey's stuff is really a fine art thing. It looks more like a commercial art thing. I do think that they are neat and tidy and would look great in the hall, but I'm not sure that they are art per se, other than like a high school, commercial arts thing. And then the last one just kind of creeps me out. And I guess that's maybe the point of it, but I don't like it. And that's maybe just a personal opinion here.
Which
One is that?
The Sia Cornegay,
I did take a look at this with a couple of staff members because I think it is, it's heady content. It's a struggle with mental illness and a shift from being drugged down to pulling yourself up. Like it's a kind of a journey, a tale of redemption, or I'm making some assumptions based on the story she sent in, but it's definitely approaches some difficult topics, but nothing that's not appropriate. But I understand the calling that one out. When I first saw this, I got goosebumps and was like, wow, it's a lot. There's a lot going on.
I mean, I tend to agree a little bit with what Cable's saying about the commercial aspect. I mean, it seems like prints that would be on a T-shirt. I mean, they are neat. And I probably even voted the first one, the Firelands one, a little bit higher. I think the latter, that's more the Ride Ohio, seems like a logo for a group. But I mean, I could argue that the one that kind of brings the Firelands together is maybe more community and together oriented. But I can definitely see where.
like I say, I'm fine with them.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know that they're what we're really about here, and I think they'd look good in the hall, any of them.
Yeah, I agree.
I've dabbled in digital arts in the past, and it can be as involved in layers and process as a painting or
Oh, yeah.
any other type of arts, but it definitely reads differently when you display it.
Is it on paper, do you know? Like, is it?
They're screen printed on paper,
I mean,
so
when you
it's
see
not
it
like
up close,
a
it's gonna-
printout,
Right, like when you see it up close, it's gonna look like paint, like,
Print.
you're gonna see
Like-
the print, so I feel
Yeah.
like that's gonna make it more of an art, like.
Yeah, it'll be similar to
I
like a
was like
printmaking.
printmaking major, so I know what goes into like that is like crazy, like the layers. But I think you're gonna be able to see it more art, it's not gonna look like a print.
Yes, and I will mention that all of the images I used, but for this poster is an actual picture of the printout, but the other two are just the digital image, so they will look, more
More
like
just
a
like a print.
I'm not trying to.
composition, an art piece composition. It won't look so.
No, and I'm not trying to discredit design by any means.
Oh.
Definitely a process and a thought behind it. But there's always kind of a gray area when you think of design and art and where that kind of may blend in.
Out of all of them, like when I look at, like think of the connection, like there's a lot when I think about it, like oh yeah, that's connection, But that one, when I saw it, I immediately thought of like the bike, like the Thursday night. Isn't there like the Thursday night? Like
Yeah,
I just thought like
Happy
that's
Thursday
connecting.
rides.
That's connecting like the art to like what the city does. I've never done one of those, but I know people that do. So that's funny because that's the first one that I saw kind of like thinking of connection with.
I do think they're broadly interpreted, but these submissions are most strongly connected to the theme we put out than any gallery I've been involved with so far, I think.
And all completely in a different manner as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's in their own way. I mean, Can we make a motion? Like, I'll make a motion to accept all of the highlighted options that are scored 5 or above.
Is there a second?
I second. I think it's a reasonable deviation.
Aaron, would you take a roll call on this?
I will. I'm just remembering my duty here. I have to note this motion in a second. Okay. Marcia Carrington?
Are you I've been having a hard
Motion.
time hearing. Are you,
Oh, the motion is to accept all the ones highlighted in green.
all of the ones highlighted in green? Well, I'm not crazy about the selection anyway, but I'll just say yeah, because,
Well, I mean, it's even clear in the votes, there's a pretty good dichotomy of some 9s and 1s on several items.
I just, yeah, I mean, there's some in here that I really, really like. I don't know, I just feel like we're trying to do an art gallery and there, and it doesn't feel like that to me, but, okay, yeah, sure.
Sean Daly, here. Chris Parthmore,
Yes.
Adam Ramsdell,
Yes.
Cable Steinman,
Yes.
Martha Weichel.
Yes.
That motion passes. Thank you.
All right, 2025 work plan.
Okay, thank you. So Kathy shared this one in the package with the minutes. I created an idea list. And for those of you who were not in attendance, we did big sheets of paper with ideas written really big. And then everybody got 5 stickers to score those ideas. And some of them really naturally came together as more than one thing. So for example, we discussed venue activation for arts and performance, which includes one of the ways of just storytelling about it was like a Chautauqua style, like more performances, lectures, music, education. We discussed a performance grant, so some sort of enabling venues to host more live music as a way to proliferate that as a practice in the city. There are some financial barriers for them to be able to do that, so perhaps we do some support of that. And then there was just a general idea of just like a separate culture grant fund, which we did talk about last year. We have a public arts artist-led grant fund, which generally gets interpreted as sculpture or mural or something more static. And so maybe we just create a culture grant fund, and that helps us tell the story that we want to enable more performances or lecture or music. So these really floated to me as all kind of one, we could accomplish that all in one bucket. And then the second most supported idea, and these numbers are updated, by the way. Anybody that wasn't there, I sent an email out with the top ideas and asked to send the top 5. So I did update these numbers with the emails I received back. Number 2 is the recreation center. So the recreation center is currently in a design phase. The city has funding to build a center and operate a recreation center. It will be on Hayes Avenue, just south of the underpass, close to the school complex. And we have, for several years, talked about the underpass mural and lighting. And I think there's a potential here for that all to be one public art project that talks to itself, that's all with the recreation theme. Perhaps there's an underpass mural, perhaps there's other elements inside the rec center or on the site of the rec center. And that would be, since it's in design now, something that we would kind of create a savings account for, like we did with Columbus Avenue, and start saving to have a meaningful budget to work on that in a few years. I think they would want some direction or participation from us late in 2025 and in 26, just to get an idea of what the Arts Commission is kind of looking for, how to incorporate into the design that's going there. And we can talk more about that as it will come around. Another idea was this East Water Street Winery District. It was mentioned that along East Water Street, where the big winery building, where Clubhouse number 3 is, there's several historic winery sites. So the idea was that that could be like a placemaking project that might have to do with lighting or interpretive signage, like the big signs that tell a story about the history of a place, or other public art options, not like near Facer Park, roughly kind of Wayne Street to Franklin Street. And then another idea that I continue to elevate is sculpture signage. So currently, the public art in the city, a lot of our sculptures, it does not have good signage. It doesn't tell the story of, even label it as the name of the piece and the artist and the year that it was installed. It doesn't say, supported by the Public Arts and Culture Commission. So I'd love to do a signage project, even if they were very, just small signs for each art piece that we have to do that. And there were several other ideas in there, continuing to support Columbus Avenue, potential to add funding to the Wheels Park budget. We have $15,000 in there. And then some kind of descending other youth program support was kind of a general one that received several mentions as well. And so I have done what I typically do here is fed that into a spreadsheet, and I'm going to give you a tour of this so it's not too intimidating. If you take a look from our 2024 work plan, we budgeted $94,000, and we left $10,000 within and not budgeted specifically. And within that, we had $55,000 for Columbus Avenue. We spent $2,350 for Art Box projects. We had those 3 projects, 2 big ones and 1 small one. We supported the Greetings from Sandusky mural last year, and we supported the 125 East Water Street mural, and we supported public art placemaking items for the Eclipse event. So what we did not spend, we had specified would get put into the Columbus Avenue budget. So that shows us, I'm going to move over here to the Columbus Avenue. That means $77,000 was given to Columbus Avenue. And if we, hold on, let me mess with my spreadsheet here a little bit. If we don't put any more in Columbus Avenue, we will have $221,000 and $221,250 in that budgeted savings for the Columbus Avenue Public Art. So moving forward, we have our fund balance. So currently in our account, in the Public Cultural Arts Acquisition Fund, I believe it's called, there's $240,000. If we take out those Columbus Avenue allocated dollars, we hold money every year for the vinyl mural program if we need to maintain any of those or replace one. We hold some money from the Sandusky Education Foundation for maintenance of any of the hanging sculptures if we need it. We have not yet spent our Wheels Park allocation of $15,500. So if you take all of that out, you get $1,000. So we're managing our money well. And if you add what we expect to get, I got this number from Michelle last week, so it might be a little bit more, but we can very comfortably expect to get $95,000 for our 2025 work plan. That gives us $96,320 to budget with. And so now we're in the draft work plan items. So what I have in here is the City Hall Gallery. We've done that every year, so I go in ahead and plugged in the 200, which we continue to not spend, but it's just in case we need it. I probably should put that up above. And then the Art Box projects, I just drafted in 3 big ones and 3 little ones, so I can change that number if you would like to change that number. And that would be about $4,050. And then I had in here a potential to continue supporting Columbus Avenue, a potential to start that recreation center. Let me click this up a couple times now that we're focused here. A potential to start that recreation center. There's also a line item potential to start that East Water Street idea of, I don't know that that's something we would build like next year, but maybe it's something that we also would save for to talk about what that could be. Something for that public art signage project. I think that's probably too much, but I'm not sure, so I want to be conservative. And then I drafted in the artist-led grant, which we always have done at $10,000, and then I created a cultural grant, which would be for supporting performance or cultural programming at $10,000 to really deliberately separate those 2 things out and hopefully incentivize some applicants for cultural funding support. I had a conversation with our chair, Brian Stanley. He advocated that we continue to do one more year of Columbus Avenue funding. He really was concerned that we wouldn't have enough, and we really want to do this big thing that we've been talking about. And maybe we even write in that anything we don't spend on Columbus Avenue would get funneled into the Recreation Center fund. If we did add 30,000, and like I said, this spreadsheet is live, that would give us $250,000 for the Columbus Avenue project, which is a nice tidy number as well. So at that, if you want me to walk you through anything more, let me know. I'll leave it right here, and I would hand it back to the chair to facilitate discussion.
All right, any discussion on the 2025 work plan?
I'm having a hard time hearing, I'm sorry.
The discussion on the work plan?
No, not right now.
I like the idea of doing Columbus Avenue one more year and then plopping that into the recreation center if it's not used, just to be, and it's not going to hurt us. It'll just be safer, I think.
Right, I kind of think they're kind of sequential type projects. where
Yeah.
one's-
Yeah.
Either way, they're like something we want to do, so.
I guess has any more specificity of what this Columbus art project could be from an arts standpoint? Like, I mean, from gathering artists or getting concepts, or understanding what the budget may actually become, and what that timeline might be?
That's a good question. So I would say that one example that I showed in the past was kind of a mirrored disc-shaped piece of public art that's suspended over an intersection in Toledo. That was, I think, if I recall correctly, a $150,000 project. It is in our 2024 work plan as an example. There's a suspended sculpture they did on an intersection in Columbus. That's a Janet Eckelman. That's a $1.5 million sculpture. So we can spend as much as we have. We could save forever. We could, I think that we will define our scope based on the budget that we have. I do think that we should engage with a consultant that knows how to design a process and solicit proposals from artists, so we get more than just a local reach. We get a multi-state or even national reach for artists sending us a proposal. I have seen one example of a city that asked for proposals. They selected their top 3 or 5, they paid each of those artists $1,000 to further develop the proposal so they could make those proposals even better. And then they selected based on that. So the artists that were like in the finalists had a lot more incentive to create, to really develop a proposal. We are constructing the streetscape right now, as you've all dealt with, getting to City Hall, and that is going to be finished up in the spring. I think from a timing perspective, it would be prudent of us to wait the summer because people will come to see this brand new thing that we built. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to have a lot to look at, a lot to enjoy. We'll also host some events, so it'll give us an opportunity to see how it's working, see how things, kind of the flow of the space. And then I think it likely good timing in the fall to conduct, to get a consultant and have them conduct some community engagement, similar to the conversations we've had. What's the mood of this? What's the art direction of this? Where might it be? Is it one big thing? Is it 4 things? Is it 8 things? And then have them design the process to solicit that first round of proposals from artists. That's how I conceive of how to go about this.
No, it's really reasonable. Like I said, I didn't know if the expectations were to be integrated part of the opening, which I'm kind of glad it's not to be rushed into, and that we kind of can see what the space is about and not have to worry about all of the.
Right. We don't want
logistics
on
of
day one to be asking people, what more should we do? Let's enjoy what we've created.
I like the idea of that process, just to get a feel for the space, but also, we've got an opportunity to make a really big impact with this particular thing that we've been saving for years to do. And I'd just like to be cautious with it and make good decisions and have something really impactful.
Yeah, and even having the money available to pay for really good quotes and really good developed ideas, I think is actually going to be key to a better outcome anyway.
Absolutely.
Makes sense. We could potentially, and we can discuss this when we get there, and we can amend the budget if we needed to, if we don't have anything in rec. We could even, getting a consultant, do some thinking about what the theme and what the art plan might look like for the rec center, having one consultant on board. That is a possibility too, or if we want to keep them separate, we could keep them separate, however you all want to run it, but we can discuss that kind of when the timeline gets there.
Other than that, I think you kind of correctly assume that maybe the signage is maybe a little inflated. I think if we were trying to attract certain performers, that maybe we could move some of the funds from the signage to the performance grant. Because, I mean, obviously, if you few performers, if they move enough things, they're going to be several $1,000s every once in a while anyway.
But it's a budget, so.
But, yeah, but I think
Exactly.
generally, I mean, that's the only nitpicky aspect of it. I think it's great.
I facilitated getting the Talon Floor Park signs that are at Erie Boulevard and Cleveland Road. And those were they were bronze, and that was a specific direction I got from the director at the time. But, so they were bronze, kind of, I was like, let's make them as big as we can within a budget. And those 2 signs were $10,000.
Okay.
So they were $5,000 each. And so I was like, well, signage can be more than you think it might be.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of.
There's acrylic and there's other.
Right.
Fancier metals.
I do think we,
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to accept the budget as presented today for the 2025 work plan.
Is there a second?
I second.
Aaron, would you take roll on that?
yes. So I had a motion from Mr. Seineman, and who's the second? I'm sorry.
Adam.
Adam, thank you. Marcia Carrington?
Yes.
Chris Parthmore?
Yes.
Adam Ramsell?
Yes.
Cable Seineman?
Yes.
Martha Weichel?
Yes.
Thank you. I will save this, and I will take this and draft it into the document, and then I'll have the draft document for you next meeting.
And thank you for your work on that, Aaron. That's great.
Absolutely.
Is there any other old business? Is there any new business?
That's all I have.
Last chance. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.